It's a problem lasting a millennia, hatred for Jews. And for the most part, Poland's relationship with the Jewish people is no different.
Polish-Jewish history is very long, it's very complex, it's very complicated. It has its great moments, and it has its horrible moments.
Nearly 1,000 years ago, Jews emigrated to Poland as a safe haven. They were fleeing persecution, and they couldn't imagine their descendants, dozens of generations later, would be murdered on that same soil. When Jews first arrived, they were met by the Polish king, who gave them total independence. Jews began to form the backbone of the Polish economy.
So the Jews collect the taxes. So the relationship between a Pole who was a farmer, or one who went around trapping animals, who had to pay taxes to the landlord, he didn't meet the landlord, he met the Jew.
Then the tide turned. In the 1600s, the Protestant Reformation broke down the pillars of tolerance. In the 1700s, the Russian Empire discriminated against Jews. They were ordered to wear a special emblem on their clothing, and Jews were even banned from holding most elected offices. Still, they contributed so much to Polish royalty that many times anti-Semitic statutes were not enforced. The two cultures meshed for centuries. Then, pogroms began. Pogroms were a series of organized massacres targeting Jewish communities. In the late 1800s, this carnage took place all over Europe. After World War I, Poland gained its independence, and the country became a safe haven for Jews once again, eventually becoming home to one of the world's largest Jewish communities. Then came the lead-up to World War II. A 1936 Polish government order forced all shops to include the name of the owner on the sign. Newly marked Jewish-owned businesses were subject to attacks. The country's 3 million Jews were excluded from banks and professional groups like the Polish Medical Association and Bar Association. Pre-war Polish anti-Semitism made the country an especially ripe target for Nazi Germany. Jews were forced to live in ghettos, and they were established in October 1939. By mid-November, secondary schools were closed. Jews lost ownership of their businesses, and by December, Jews over the age of 12 were required to wear an armband with a Star of David. Then came food ration cards. 1940 begins with the closure of synagogues and the banning of prayer. Within the next few months, Jews suffered job loss. They're further banned from public places, and their food rations were diminished. By November, 33% of the population lived in 3% of the city. Any Jew who tried to escape was murdered, including babies. Pogroms continue in rural villages. On July 10, 1941, 340 Polish Jews were beaten, locked in a barn in the village of Jedwabne. They were set on fire by their own neighbors. This massacre was not discussed for decades. Jews from smaller surrounding cities of Warsaw were also brought into the ghetto. As reports of mass murder in the concentration camps are leaked to the ghetto, underground resistance movements, like the ZOB, were formed. The Warsaw Ghetto Uprising began. Jews fought deportation for nearly a month, but Germans set fire to the buildings. When all was said and done, thousands of Jews were killed, the rest, tens of thousands, sent to concentration camps. Poland had the most concentration camps of any German-occupied country. Some were designed for labor, others for extermination. Jews from all over Europe were sent to their deaths in Poland, including Auschwitz. From the ghettos, they were told to pack their most prized possessions into a single suitcase and mark it with their names. All of this later stolen. Packed into rail cars, many died before they even reached a camp. If they did, they were unloaded like animals. In some places, a quick selection was made with the flick of a finger. Live or die, right or left. Millions walked straight from those cars to the crematorium. The elderly and disabled were killed immediately. Women had their heads shaved. The Nazis used their hair to make cloth to sell. Everyone was stripped naked. Some were told they were going to shower. Instead, Zyklon B, a form of cyanide, poured out of the shower head. It was a slow, painful death. Those chosen to live were forced to sleep 6 to a bunk on cold, hard wood. The newest prisoners slept on the floor, often flooded by rain or snow and infested with rats. As Allied forces moved closer, killings increased substantially, and prisoners were forced on marches. If they couldn't keep up, they were killed. By the end of the Holocaust, 90% of Polish Jews were dead, nearly every synagogue was destroyed, and the country was left torn apart. After the war, Poland became a communist country under Soviet rule, still an unwelcome place for Jews. Most of the remaining Polish Jews fled the country. Those who helped Jews during the war stayed silent. Many Jews who remained in the country hid their religion.
For those Jews who stayed in Poland after the war, this was the most traumatic experience that they went through, that not so long after the Holocaust, again, Jews felt unwelcome in Poland.
The government allowed Jews to move to Israel without visas or exit permits, so long as they renounced their citizenship. In 1968, a second wave of Jews left Poland after political conflicts with Israel. By the time communism fell in 1989, few Jews were left in Poland. This is when anti-Semitism settles down in the country. Now, nearly 30 years later, anti-Semitism is once again on the rise.
I think you can be proudly Jewish in Poland, but I think that since a certain period of time, there is a growing level of discomfort around this.
As nationalism resurges, Jews are in the crosshairs once again, not only in their towns and villages, but in their government too.